You go on your RSVP thing. Sorry, no. This is really good.
Yeah. Hold on. Let me. Oh wait, crap. Wait. You pause it for a sec.
Yeah, no, go for it.
Because wait, I'm trying to think of. Wait, I just had something.
RSVP.
Crap. What was
Which
it?
one's gonna
It was
ask
really
you?
good. It'll come back to me.
Okay.
Eventually.
All right. So the first three nouns come to your head, and you hear the word manly. Just the first three things.
That you're always there for your woman.
No, nouns.
Oh, nouns.
Yeah, nouns, adjectives, verbs. What's the first noun though?
Tall.
Okay.
Clean cut.
That's an adjective. No, those are all. All right, we're doing adjectives then. All right, so those are two.
Oh, okay. Wait, noun. Oh, you
All right,
want
no,
noun.
adjective.
Oh,
All right,
yeah.
what's your third adjective? Sorry.
Yeah. Okay. Tall. Yeah. Wait. What am I thinking? Oh boy, it's been a while since I've been in school.
Tall, clean cut.
Tall, clean cut, and active.
Okay, and then three verbs.
Sporty. Is that a verb? No.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, that's a verb. Verbs.
No, sporty's an adjective, isn't it?
Yeah.
All right, so three verbs.
Like.
Just verb words. What are the first three like?
Oh, that's kind of weird. Wait,
like
how,
Freudian. What not Freudian, but like whatever. Psychoanalysis. What are the first things that come to your mind?
Yeah. Tall, clean cut, and has a lot of money.
All right, so that's tall, clean cut, wealthy. Your adjectives. What are your verbs though? Three verbs that you associate with manliness. Manly. The word manly.
But give me an example. Like, seriously.
People. What did people said like? Protecting or driving trucks or fighting or something like that.
Okay. Hardworking.
That's another adjective. Oh no, I guess it's a verb. That's
Okay. Yeah, like.
Yeah, I guess right. I guess verbs are adjectives in this sense. All right, so hardworking.
Wait, no, that is an adjective.
It is an adjective.
Because you say like he isn't hardworking.
Right. Three things you can do. All right, well let's try nouns then. If verbs is such a mind bender, the first three nouns you think of.
Like people.
No. Well, it could be people. Could be people. Just any things that you associate with the word manly.
Don Draper. Suit.
Okay.
And I'd say adventurous too for adjective.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Maybe we'll just get a list of
this is pretty
adjectives.
bad.
From
Yeah.
No, it's really alright. It's really alright. Because I just want to see what happens. I don't actually need
Yeah.
three answers. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, cool. It's interesting. You broke the strong line. The first 2 Miles and Aaron both were strong. First thing immediately,
Really?
and then they had to think about it. Interesting.
I definitely see like that. Like tall
Tall.
is
is your
definitely
thing?
much more manly. Like you can have like a guy who not necessarily like when I picture a man, he's not like lifting weights or like doing strong things. He's walking down a hallway with a power
And
walk.
he's commanding.
Yeah, he's commanding. Okay, there you go. That's a good word. Commanding. That's
Okay.
what. Yeah,
Okay.
that's what I have to say when I describe a guy.
So yeah, I don't know. I guess. So this is a bunch of statistics. I know you're not a statistics guy, but there are more women in college right now than men currently.
Yeah.
Men are 6 times more likely to be diagnosed with learning disabilities than women.
Yeah.
And they're actually as of this year, there are actually more women in the American workforce than men, although they still make less per dollar. You know, whatever the 80 cents per dollar thing.
Yeah.
You obviously had something to say about that immediately, though.
Yeah. Well, I read a piece in Newsweek the other day, and it was by this woman who wrote this book about how men are a dwindling race, and she was also on like the Colbert Report or something like that, and it definitely rang a bell with me. Like what I find frustrating is that a lot of times, you know, when like feminists and that stuff, and like what they talk about RCP, they treat everything as if it's like a zero-sum kind of game where no matter what, even if there are like inherent inequalities just in the way we are, that it should be the same. And I feel like that's a dangerous path to go down. You have to respect the differences between men and women. It's like just because men have one thing doesn't mean that women should have it just as equally. Like there are NCAA teams, and so colleges will lose their funding if they don't. Because of Title IX, they'll lose federal funding if they don't support women's teams as well as guys. Well, there are teams where there are not enough women to fill a team, but they have to have the women team anyway. So there are men on the women's team just so they can have the bodies to count as, okay, this is on the women's team, like women's fencing or stuff like that. And it's like, okay, there is a problem, right? And you can look at all day the things that how their men have more. But then there are things that women, you know, have more, like you said, like education. And I feel like a lot of times, especially because like there are things that there's more interest in guys than girls. And like there's like a study where they put like a truck and a doll in front of 2 kids who hadn't been like introduced to society or whatever and like been sheltered for a while. And for some reason the guys liked rolling the truck back and forth, and the girls picked up the doll and held it. Like there are biological differences with who we are, and I think you have to respect that. And so it's like, you know, it always bugs me. It's like when people say, "Oh, well, there's no difference between men and women's sports." It's like, yes, there is. There is a difference. It's like, you know, there's a reason why. You know, there's one woman golfer who tried to go into the PGA and couldn't make it because she wasn't good enough, because their bodies are meant for something different. Like, you know, yes, it was a sport that was created by men, yes, but it's because there's an interest in it of men, and that, you know, it's like, oh, well, you know, there's just as much competition in like girl sports than guy sports. It's like, no, because guys like playing sports all the time, and they play it for, you know, when they have free time, that's what they do. They'll go outside and like shoot hoops, or they'll go outside and like play tag football or something like that. But girls don't do that because they have other interests. And I don't think it's because society's telling them. I think that's because that's just who they are.
You think that's why we have a lot of professional men's sports, but we only really have the WNBA and no one watches it in terms of professional sports?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because, and like, seriously, like, I don't think that it's because society tells women, you know, don't watch sports, like, that's only for guys. I think that, you know, like, yes, women enjoy watching sports.
Well, I'm not talking about watching them, but I'm talking about...
I know, no.
Okay, sorry, you're getting
But there's you know, it's also, there's a market out there. There's a market for guy sports because guys like watching the guy sports, and it's good sports. But there's a difference in the level of play, and like guys aren't going to watch women's sports just because, well, we're watching guys sports, so we should really watch women's sports too. Like, no, they're going to watch guys sports because there's a higher level of play. And I know it sounds sexist, but it's true. It's true. And you know, it's like you know, that's not because girls are, you know, like there's something wrong with them. It's just they're different, and you have to respect that difference. And you know, like, it's fun to watch women's sports when they're playing hard, but you got to understand that there's a difference in the level of play between women's sports and men's sports. And, I know that sounds sexist, but that's how I feel. And you can enjoy watching women's sports, but there's not the market for it. And I think that's why you don't see the WNBA or why the WNBA is not popular and there's no real, I mean, like, nobody watches the LPGA and
because the
softball or whatever.
The level of skill isn't as high.
Because the level of skill isn't high, and because it's kind of a cycle, and this is not, I don't think this is something that should be frowned upon again. Mm-hmm. There's a cycle because the skill level isn't as high, so then girls don't watch it as much or guys don't watch it, and then girls aren't as interested in it anyway, which causes there not to be as much skill. If you
no, I got it.
And so I think it's just, and I think the root of it is not because this is a male-dominated society that's saying no women's sports. There's a difference in play in watching men's sports and women's sports, and women aren't a broad generality, which is very dangerous, but women on the whole don't enjoy sitting in front of the TV and yelling at the TV watching a football game. They do, but it's not the same kind of passion that men have, I feel like.
Cool. Alright, so where to go with that? Well, do you think that men are more competitive, that competition drives male prowess higher,
Yeah, well, okay, so this always kind of bugs me, that in men's skiing, in high school skiing, right, which I ski, mm-hmm. cross country, mm-hmm. there is a gigantic difference in the quantity of skiers who are at the top versus the quantity of skiers of girls, for guys, versus the quantity of girls that are at the top. There are girls who are very good at their sport, and they work hard and they push their bodies to the farthest extent. They aren't as fast as men, but that's again because of the biological differences. But there are girls who push themselves hard, and that are competitive. But the vast majority of girls, even girls that are pretty good, they're not the best, and they're never gonna become World Cup quality or anything. But the number of girls who are there's a much larger number who aren't like I have to win, I want to win, and I have a lot of respect for girls who have that same drive, because I personally have that drive, and I love to see it when you can tell when somebody, it's like a coach was just saying, not Mr. Ogilvy, but our JV coach, Coach Olson, had a quote that said, he was saying that this kid right now plays baseball, but he wants to be a baseball player. That there's a difference. You can play the sport, or you can actually, put yourself into the sport, put everything you have into what you're doing, and that's the competitive drive. And I think there are other areas where women try and push their talents farther, but again, it's not driven by that same competitive instinct, which goes back to, I think, again, the biological differences, that men would fight for their food. And so there's this competitiveness, where a woman, they're tending to their own kid and blah blah blah. And it's funny. I come from a family who I think is a lot more is pretty laid back as when it comes to competitiveness, and really kind of discourages that. And both my parents were never really involved with sports or anything like that, and never had that drive. And in Juneau, Alaska, it's like the hippiest place ever. That it's like everything's just intramural and just for fun, and nobody really, it's not like, oh, you gotta beat them. It's not like we have here. I mean, and even Maine, it's not that competitive. And so, the way I see it is that this is definitely an anecdote which tells me that society has, and we didn't have a TV until I was really old, and even then I didn't watch it. But this is saying that I think that it's not really society that, the media that's telling me you have to be competitive because you're a male. I think that's something that I have inside of me. When I was a little kid, real little, I'd have this, kids, oh yeah, I have an imaginary friend. Well, I had an imaginary friend, but he wasn't my friend. I was always competing with him, and whenever, so like tossing the ball up in the air, he would always be doing it better than me, and I would always try and do it better than him, and I would always have to be better than him because he was always a little bit better than me, and that is something that I think is inherent in my personality that doesn't come from any outside influences. I think that's part of me, and I think that's true for a lot more true for males than it is for women. That there's this drive to be the best you can be and to try and, to put it bluntly, to be better than other people. And I think you see that in skiing, where there's so much competition, especially this year with the guys, that you just didn't really see with the girls. There was a few up there that really wanted to do good, but other than that, there were just people that were just skiing. They weren't skiers, if you know what I mean. So yeah, that's my 2 cents.
Well, that's awesome. And so you think that sports are a good thing for this? Obviously you think sports are a good thing for channeling all of this. Without them, where would we be?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I think. So you're saying that it's good to have sports in society for men to...
That's a crucial part of society, and that's, some people say, oh, music is more important than sports, or, like getting a job or whatever. Sports are a children's pastime thing, but you really think they're an important part of
there's
life.
You look at, it's like you can watch a documentary on tigers, and, they always talk about how the little cubs, they, play rough with each other, and they, play games with each other, and they always, they pretend to stalk them, and they wrestle, and they put their mouth on their neck, on their their brother's neck, but they don't bite. It's just for fun, and it's kind of preparing them for the world. And I think that is how sports have kind of started, and I think that's still how they are. Now, whether it's still preparing you to beat and win your opponent is, I think, still somewhat true, and not quite as true as killing your prey or whatever, as it is with tigers. But absolutely. I mean, I think that it's a cliche to say, there are so many valuable lessons you can learn from sports. But I think it's absolutely true. Music is great. I enjoy music. I love singing music, and it's gorgeous, and it can bring so much emotion in you, and that's great. But you also, there is something with sports that I find that is just, it's so invigorating, and you learn more about yourself. Especially this past year, senior year, when it was running and I was hurt, and then it was skiing where I was trying as hard as I could to be the best I could, and then now in baseball we're having a tough year, but I think we're really coming through, and I think I have learned so much more in those sports about myself and about valuable lessons for the future than I have in school or in any other extracurricular. They all have their place. There's a reason for everything, and I think can it get a little unbalanced sometimes? Yes, but I think it can get a little unbalanced the other way too, and I don't know. I think sports are great, especially if you play them right. I think they can do wonders.
So nowadays it's not so much about learning to play to stalk and kill your prey, but it's learning about yourself and about teamwork and about all those things.
Working with others, and how while you are important and what you are doing is important, there is a larger goal. And I do individual sports with skiing and running, and I play a team, and there are distinct lessons that can be learned from both. Skiing is obviously, since it's it's an individual sport, there's still a team, but you are skiing for yourself, or by yourself, and it's all about figuring out how you are able to push yourself and what drives you, and whether you're the kind of guy that's gonna push themselves as far as they can, and how that can be applied to other things. And then there's baseball, where it's where you have a job and you have to help the team do that job. And our Mr. Ogilvy said at one point in the season, things were going a little rough, how everybody has their job, but the big job, the one that everybody's working for, doesn't get done if everybody doesn't do more than strictly their responsibility. And I think that is so true, not just on the baseball field, but in life. And I think that's one of those lessons that you can definitely learn, that it takes more. People aren't that talented to just do exactly what they're going to do and think that because they're doing what their superior told them to do, that they're going to be successful. You have to go above and beyond. And I think that, and that's something that's also true in skiing, where you can ski and you can say, okay, well, I'm going to go as hard as I can, and then I should be successful. But there is definitely a different gear, if you will, a different level that you can kick into, that really, and whether it's in training and mental preparation and during the actual race itself, that really propels you to be to win, really, to win, to be the best that you can.
Yeah, two things. One is there's a George Patton. I wish I had the speech he gave before. I have like a book of them before the Normandy, before the invasion there, D-Day. He had a whole thing about how if everybody's going to do their thing, and even if you're just like loading the machine guns, like somebody's going to load the machine guns, and we'd never win the war if we didn't have loaded machine guns, which I thought was really interesting. But then, what's the other part? What was the last thing you just said? What were you just... Something, I don't know. No, this has been great. This is really, how the individual sports make you accountable for yourself.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And there's, playing on a team sport, it is clear who has, again, actually not just played their sport, but been an active participant in their sport, in an individual sport. Because it is so easy, especially in team sports, to just say, oh, well, he did it, she did it, whatever, that this is the reason why we lost. This is the reason why we got a bad grade. This is the reason why, we weren't successful in one way or the other. But with a team sport, you have to realize that you really, at the end of the day, you can only blame yourself for whatever problems you have with your performance. And that's been, I think that's been really valuable for me to hold yourself accountable. And I think if you only play team sports, that's one of those lessons that definitely doesn't get in there. And I think that is absolutely extremely valuable.
Well, awesome. I think this is just this has been my most best interview, in that we did the RSVP thing and then it segued so perfectly into sports. And so thank you. And that's my camera's like gonna die here any